So with a general election coming up next year, I thought we might as well start having a look, or start doing a series, shall we say, basically a look at the parties, what their main policies are, and just a general talk about them, really. And so I thought we'd start with the Green Party. Why are we starting with the Green Party, you ask? Well, I think they're going to be the dark horse in this election. I think they're going to make a bit of gains. Obviously, they've now grown massive numbers. But it's whether they can actually turn those numbers into voting power. And at the end of the day, that is what really matters. So whether they actually gain any traction in the next election, we'll have to see. I generally don't know where I stand with the Green Party, as we'll see when we talk through some of their, basically some of their policies and whatnot. So anyway, we're on the Green Party website, and what we stand for, just a bit of a brief overview, shall I say, of the party. We live in unsettling times. Many of the securities that our parents and grandparents fought for, a functioning national health service, free education and affordable phones, now look out of reach for most of us. Coupled with this, climate change is bringing unpredictable and threatening weather patterns. People feel let down by politicians, yet there has been an explosion in political activism. People want to do things differently and aren't afraid to be bold and challenging. We believe that the public services should be for the benefit of the public, not sold off in bits. We believe that education is worth investing in, is not something that should mean a lifetime of debt. We believe in leaving behind a better world for our children and grandchildren. This is the only world we have, and its welfare above all things should be the highest priority for us. Politics should work for the benefit of all, not those who shout the loudest or have the deepest pockets. We believe in the common good. A vote for the Green Party is a vote for the common good. That's their preamble. Again, as I've said, Green Party I find to be very anti-science when it comes to their policies on GM and things like that. We'll get into that pretty much straight away, because the next thing under their values is environment and climate change. Okay, safeguarding today and tomorrow. The Green Party would tackle climate change faster and more effectively by moving Europe from a fossil-fueled economy to one powered by renewable energy. We need to leave fossil fuels in the ground. Yes, I agree, but the problem is that fossil fuels still produce a heck of a lot more electricity and still need a heck of a lot more investment in before you can make the grand switch over. So that's my thought on that idea. Might go deeper into it. We'll go deeper into it at the end. We'll go through the points first. Prepare for an increased impacts on ourselves and our neighbours by investing in upland weather conservation and flood defences to shield us from extreme weather and events. I agree. Protect our natural world from short-term corporate interests who invest in its destruction. Again, I don't really think that's necessarily true. You know, short-term and long-term gains can be quite good, depending on what you get from them. Again, we're reading from the cliff notes from their manifesto, so we might later do a video going into more of their points in depth. And this is what I take quite a big issue to. End factory farming and animal testing, crack down on illegal trade in wildlife and introduce strong animal protection standards. Good God, no. First of all, factory farming. We need factory farming. The UK population is constantly getting bigger, not smaller, and as I've said in previous videos, the back to nature approach, I'm sure they would advocate is not good enough to feed the population. We need factory farming, whether it be with animals or even crops and arable products. We need factory farming. We need to be able to produce the food to feed the population. This is a good thing. It doesn't matter if you think factory farming is a bad thing. The benefit of this is that we can feed people, and feed people at a cheaper rate. Because guess what? All this green and natural food people profess is a heck of a lot more expensive. It's a heck of a lot more expensive for farmers. Again, I've done previous videos on this. Animal testing. Oh God. God, yes. Animal testing. Yes. Yes, it is a good thing, despite what you may think of it. Think of the billions upon billions of lives we have saved by engineering new surgery techniques and, you know, new drugs and whatever on animals, because we need test subjects. And guess what? Animals are the best test subjects. And this translates to improving lives for thousands of people. This is a good thing. It is not a bad thing. When people say animal testing, they just stop and don't think of, you know, the massive benefits it has. Again, animal testing is a good thing. And I know there are a lot of people now who just be like, oh, no. Yes, it's a good thing. Heart transplants tested on animals. So basically anyone who's ever had a heart transplant, basically you'll be condemning to death, because now, again, it's a product of animal testing. Again, what about people who have received pig hearts? Again, it's a viable way, because again, there are a shortage of organs. It's a good thing. Again, this has come through animal testing. This is a good thing, and yet, people stop when they think animal testing, and again, don't think of the massive benefits. So far, well, that's the environmental policy. Don't agree with. I agree with moving to you know, sustainable energy eventually. Problem is, it's not there yet. It needs a heck of a lot more investment, and to just basically go, okay, get rid of fossil fuels is a bad thing. We need them for the time. We need them as we make that transition. Anyway, the next thing is building a fairer society. The Green Party would oppose austerity. There is an alternative: investment in a low-carbon economy, creating real jobs for the future. Okay. Again, we're just reading the bullet points of this, so I may later on do more videos where we take a look at their policies more in depth. But for the time being, we'll just leave it at that. Turn the national minimum wage into a genuine living wage so that everyone can put food on the tables and pay the bills. I agree. However, there is a knock-on effect to that, because all of a sudden businesses have to pay more wages, meaning that they have to raise the prices of the products they sell or the services that they provide. There will be a knock-on effect, and that is the knock-on effect. Prices will increase, like it or not. And that suddenly, that £10 living wage suddenly becomes, well, now we have to raise it even more. Again, I'm all for raising the minimum wage, but again, there are knock-on effects to this. Build truly affordable housing and stop demolishing existing houses. Yep, okay, I agree with that. Problem is getting people to move into those existing houses. Heck, there was a vast problem in an area of Barnsley called Kendry. Kendry is not the most desirable place to live in Barnsley, and yet it had a load of basically decent and serviceable houses. The problem was that people didn't want to live in that area, and as a result the houses were basically left sitting open and basically fell into disrepair and basically had to be demolished. Again, it's all fine saying let's not demolish those houses, but it's again getting people to want to live in those houses. Scrap the welfare cap to ensure scrap the welfare cap to ensure that we can truly help the poorest and most vulnerable in our society. Yep, I'm fine with that. This one, no. Enforce a cap on bankers' bonuses and reduce the pay gap between those at the top and those at the bottom. No, because then you are punishing people for being successful, and I am entirely against that. What's wrong with someone being paid more because they were good at their job, and as a result they've basically moved up the corporate ladder, and as a result they've got more pay from it? There is nothing wrong with that at all. That would be incredibly stupid. Bankers' bonuses, that seems to me more like a popular policy, and I'm afraid to say I am for bankers getting bonuses. It's perfectly fine. My uncle is a banker and he works for, I can't remember, it's HBOS I think he works for. And guess what? Bonuses are dependent on a lot of number of things. You are never 100% guaranteed these bonuses. They are, a lot of them, performance driven. So it's never 100% guaranteed they are going to receive these bonuses. But again, if they meet their targets, meet their quotas, and they receive that bonus, then again, there is nothing wrong. They should be rewarded for meeting their targets and whatnot. Good for them. Again, this also comes with a problem of competition, because guess what? The UK has one of the best financial sectors in the world, and if all of a sudden you say, right, cap on bankers' bonuses, then what's to stop the good, the good financial minds and, those people saying, right, we're not going to work in the UK anymore, we're going to go to Berlin, Paris, somewhere else. That's knowledge, expert knowledge, that we suddenly lose because of basically people saying, well, we could not allow you to have bonuses. And again, why are you so against, banker bonuses when there are other people in other industries that receive just a similar bonuses, might I add? Why? Because again, bankers are the popular whipping boy of the moment. I don't understand why, because it's partly due to the the money thing, but they've repaid all that money. But then there you go. I really, really disagree with that policy. It'd just be stupid, because again, think about it. If you're a graduate, and let's say you did a graduation in technology, again, another certain industry field where again they earn quite a lot in terms of pay and bonuses. All of a sudden, these new technologies and innovation ideas that come from people who, lived in Britain, got degrees at a British university, suddenly go off to America or wherever because they can get more money working for those companies in different countries. There is an element of competition there, and unfortunately, that is the case. We would lose far more than we would gain. Sorry, I highly disagree with that one. Anyway, one from a fairer society, we move on to health and education. Health and free for everyone. The Green Party would stop the privatisation of the NHS and, where possible, reverse public service sell-offs. Yes, I agree with that. Scrap university tuition fees, yeah, I agree with that, but we've heard it before from Nick Clegg. Like anyone who voted for the Lib Dems back then, primarily the biggest youth vote there has actually ever been during that general election, voted for that thing in particular. No doubt the Green Party have a lot of swell for this, and I tell you now, if the Greens do gain some form of power and they can't achieve that university tuition fee, or they go back on their word like the Liberal Democrats did, then they will lose vast numbers of support. Vast numbers. Protect the pay and conditions of staff, professionals in the health and education, cutting back on their paperwork, freeing them to do their jobs. Yeah, agree with that, fine. Building free schools and academies under local authority control, and build the next generation of high quality local comprehensive schools. I'm under the impression that academies and schools already are under local education authorities, unless I'm missing something. I know a lot of academies are, some academies, in fact there's one in Barnsley, Horizon, I believe they're sort of a not-for-profit. They are a school, but they run other things which brings money into the school, which then they can in turn invest in, you know, education, buy supplies, whatever. In fact, they had a radio station at one point. Again, the advertising they had from that, part of the money went to, you know, the continued running of the station, and then all the rest of the advertising money went back into the school to invest in education. I agree with that. That's a good thing. You know, the school, on top of the money it gets from the government, is able to essentially top itself up with even more money. I agree with that. Nothing wrong with it. Matter of opinion, I think, that one. Energy. Permanently lower bills. Unfortunately, you can't guarantee that because it's more to do with the price of the commodities such as natural gas, coal, and what have you. Cut demand by encouraging European incentives for home inflation, reducing the amount of energy we need to heat and power Britain's homes, providing much needed jobs. Yeah, home installation. Yeah, good, go for it. Again, ironically, one of the best things you could actually do is say all new houses should be built with solar panels, and that, you know, you give people solar panels on the roof. That would be another brilliant way, because not only then there are people cutting their energy bills, they're also contributing to the national grid. I don't know if that's a Green Party policy, but I'm surprised it's not there. Change the types of energy we need to use, speeding up the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy by voting for increased targets in Europe. Yeah, okay, but again, problem is it's not the transition. We need to make sure that what we're transitioning to can provide the energy that we need, essentially, you know. This is obviously just a small example, you know. If a coal power plant can produce, you know, 100 units of energy, and what you want to change it to is, you know, your renewable, but it can only produce, let's say, half the amount, then why should we not stick with the coal power plant for the time being, at least until the renewable energy device can catch up? So then obviously it makes more sense to change. Where are we? Ah, yes. Reduce harmful long-term solutions. We would ban all fracking and stop the building of nuclear power stations. Building of nuclear power stations, yes, good. Well, actually, no. Well, yes, we should have nuclear power stations because, again, they produce a crap ton of electricity. In fact, my stepdad was a coal miner, has been for many, many years, retired recently, and 3 nuclear power stations can provide not a vast amount of electricity for the UK. Yes, it has, nuclear waste, which is obviously, we know, a bad thing, but the plus side, it produces a reliable stream of electricity, where, as from at least what I can see and I've read, the renewable energy and isn't there yet. He says you want to, stimulate research. Yes, that's a good thing, but you need that that safety guard. Again, we'll go back to the example I've used. If you've got again, the nuclear power station that produces 100 units, and your renewable solution only produces 50. Why are you going to replace that? Because then again, that's an extra 50 units that produces. Yeah, of course, yeah, it creates waste, but on the plus side, it produces a heck of a lot more electricity, being a good thing. Again, the more electricity you have, the more you would be able to drive prices down lower, because again, supply and demand. If you've got a large demand and a large supply, then you can lower the prices to meet a more reasonable demand. Again, I think we'll have probably worth more looking into this in their sort of manifesto. Anyway, transport. Cheaper and cleaner. The Green Party would bring back railways into public ownership and build new local lines and trams. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Yeah, I use the train quite a lot. Restore local government control over buses and improve provision and give them preferential road space. Okay, but the problem is again, even if you do give them to the local authority, you're still going to have the same problem that many of the private bus companies now have, and that is the problem of what is the most profitable route. Because if you're running a route that isn't profitable, then that's money out the window. I'm sorry, and then there's no reason to continue that bus service if it isn't profitable. A lot of people are going to disagree and say, oh, but what about that? But then, if you're going to do that, if you say you want to keep those non-profitable routes open, then that comes with the thing of, well, you have to pay increased bus prices. That's the knock-on effect. Again, recently we've just had a lot of furore, shall we say, about the Freedom Riders and, over 60s basically wanting to continue riding for free. Unfortunately, because, again, rising prices of the fuel, electricity, means that the train companies cannot afford this section to continue riding free, and they've said, we'll give you half price. Unfortunately, it's not good enough for some people, and they demand free spaces. But again, they've got to understand that there's a knock-on effect. Because they're riding for free, that means an increased ticket price for me. I go to Sheffield a lot to do business, and the price now for a return ticket is now £6. That used to be the price for a return ticket from here to Leeds. That has now gone up, costing me again more travel time. But again, I run a business. the train for me is the fastest and quickest way to get right into the city centre of be it Leeds, Sheffield, or wherever in pretty much most of the cases, and I have to pay an increased premium because people want to ride for free. I highly disagree with that because it, again, as I said, I have to pay for their ticket. Again, now for example, let's say all trains went to electricity and your nuclear power plant can produce that extra amount of surplus electricity to be able to power the trains, then great. That means you can, lower prices, and then, you can put people to being back free. It's not too much of a stretch to do that, unfortunately. But again, I'm looking at these policies and I'm thinking, hang on a second, there are consequences to a lot of the things these people are doing, and I don't know whether they're going to be covered more, explained more in their manifesto. But we'll have a like I say, some of these things I think we'll have a closer look into sort of their manifesto. So consider this a light dusting, shall we say, of their policies. Work to reduce petrol and diesel use. How? Again, I presume this is going to be covered in the manifesto. Are you going to introduce more hybrids, more electrical cars? If you're going to introduce more electrical cars, then that means you have to build a massive infrastructure boost to be able to essentially refuel the electric cars. And again, electric cars, when you compare them mile for mile, petrol cars that use petrol go a heck of a lot further. And that's a convenience factor. I've driven to Aberdeen a couple of times recently, and I think if I'd had an electrical car, I'd have had to make 4 stops, I think, on the way up, just to recharge, and then you've got how long do I have to, sit and wait for that recharge? Whereas petrol, I only had to stop once, and it takes minutes to refill the tank and then continue on my way. Again, maybe this is addressed more in their manifesto, but if anyone's Green Party has a thing, then, by all means, inform me and enlighten me on these policies. I don't mind. Scrap the pointless and hugely expensive SH2, a train line for the 1% and not the 99% of rail users. Oh God. Okay, for someone who is actually looking forward to having a high-speed rail network, reason why is because, again, I run a local business, and as again, I have to think of travel. Now, the further I travel out, the more money I have to expend on my clients, basically because I have to travel to and from, get to their locations. Now, all of a sudden, if we have the HS2 line, makes travel a heck of a lot more affordable for travelling to, say, London, all of a sudden, my business opportunities increase dramatically, because I can get to London lickety-split. Not only that, it would bring in a heck of a lot more jobs. I am surprised they are actually opposing this, and I will certainly be doing a video on this later down the line. I'd like the fact that it's for the 1% and not the 99% of rail users, because again, not only that, I believe there's also going to be a freight line on it as well, which basically would mean reduced lorries and cars, which would again reduce your petrol and diesel use. But we'll come back to that in a later. We'll do a video entirely on that. I think what their exact policy is on that. Introduce a standard 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on residential road to keep children and other vulnerable pedestrians safe. Okay. You know, I wouldn't travel above 20 miles an hour on a residential road personally, because again, that's again, if you're going more than 20 miles an hour again on a residential road, that seems ridiculously fast. But oh well, there you go. So anyway, that's the a light dusting, shall we say, on the Green Party policies. We're certainly going to come back to their energy, and certainly we're going to come back to one of their high-speed rail network once, certainly. Again, I have a friend who works in rail, so I'll be talking to her about that, definitely. So yeah, Green Party policies. I've made mention of it before, but I run a business. I run a video production business, in fact. If you are an MP and you are a Green MEP standing before elections and you would like an interview, I will be most certainly welcome to come along and have an interview with you. There might be a charge for that. Again, I run a business, and again, you are standing for political office, meaning you can actually expend money, and again, campaign, and again, social media, best way to spread messages these nowadays, and consequently video is a good way to spread that message. So yeah, if you're interested, get in contact with me.